Hi, fifth graders. Welcome to the second day lesson on finding the area of a right triangle. It's Unit 8, Lesson 18, but the page that I have in front of me is not from your textbook, so don't go looking for that. I'm just going to do a little bit of a review. You remember that the other day we took a square and a rectangle, and I showed you what would happen when you cut them in half using the diagonal. You ended up with two triangles. So they want to figure out the area of the triangles in each of these pictures, and they're really showing you the whole rectangle. Actually, number one, it's a square, right? So if you figured out the area of the square, you would multiply the 6 times the 6 and you'd get 36, right? Well, the triangle is going to be half of that. So if you cut 36 in half, you get 18. So really the formula that we're going to use for this is we're going to call this, instead of the length and the width, we're going to call it the base and the height. So the height is always shown with a right angle, and then you divide it by 2. Okay. Sometimes people write it like this: 1/2 of the base times the height. And they might have another times sign in there. Okay, so in this case, it's half of 6 times 6, which is 18, and then feet squared. Okay. All right, the next one, again, it's half of the base times height, or if you want to think of it as base times height divided by 2, because that's easier, do it that way. 8 times 4 is 32. Half of 32, or 32 divided by 2, is 16. Okay, and on our assignment yesterday, a lot of you weren't really sure how to type or write in square centimeters. You could write it like this. Technically, we're abbreviating square and centimeter. We should have a period there. It was also okay not to have the periods there. You could write it like this, but you can't really type it like this on a keyboard, so most people write it like that. Otherwise, you could write out the word square and write out the word centimeter, but oh my gosh, that would take forever to type, and I would probably mistype it. So the abbreviation is just easier. Okay, so over here, 16 times 11, and you would divide it by 2. Now, I'm going to show you a shortcut that maybe some of you will follow and some of you won't. I'm going to write it like this. And I don't know what 16 times 11 is. I don't know my 11's up that high. But watch what happens. You could do half of 16, which is 8, and then multiply that by 11 and do it in your head, and you'd get 88. And if you don't believe me, you could use your calculator, do 16 times 11, and then divide it by 2, and you will get 88. All right, I am going to scroll down to the next 3 problems, and I would like for you to, I'm going to pause this for a moment. I'd like for you to get your calculator and just a piece of scratch paper. I don't care if you write the formulas down or not. I want you to figure out the area of each of these triangles. All right, hopefully you have answers now. So in the first one, you're multiplying the length times the width. 3 times 6 is 18, but it's half of the rectangle. You figured out the rectangle, and you've got to figure out what half of it is. So half of 18, 9 inches squared, or square inches. Okay, over here, I'm going to do this one in my head. I have the right answer, but I'm going to show you how I did it in my head so that I didn't have to get my calculator. So I did half of 12 is 6, and I did 6 times 15, and I knew that was 90. Otherwise, you could do 12 times 15, then divide it by 2. Over here, I kind of did the same thing. 12 times 9, you know what that is, right? You could divide that answer by 2, or just take half of the 12. You get 6. 6 times 9 is 54. 54 yards squared. Now, if that didn't make sense to you, you do 12 times 9, you get 108. Divide it by 2 on your calculator, and you get 54. Now, Number 7 is kind of a weird answer. It says, write a formula for finding the area of a right triangle with the legs of 2m and 3m. I find it helpful to draw a picture over here. Now, legs is a really weird word. Triangles don't have legs, but for whatever reasons, they decide to call these sides legs. And it's going to be these two sides right here. Later on, when you get to 6th grade, you're going to learn that this side across from the right angle is called the hypotenuse, and it's the longest side of a triangle. But you don't need to know that today. The legs are the other two sides. This would be the hypotenuse, and those would be the legs. So if you're going to find the area of that, just pretend those are numbers. You would do 2m times 3m, and then you divide it by 2. Or if you like, you could write it like this. So we're just putting letters and numbers in where you would normally put one number. One more problem before we go today. A poster board measures 15 by 20. Again, right away, I almost can't even solve a problem like this unless I draw a picture of it. So this is 15 inches. And this is 20 inches. So just like the poster board, that if you're doing a project, you go to the dollar store or Walmart or Target and buy a big poster board, that's what this is. Okay, so Jenny bought this, and then it's divided here, right down the middle by a diagonal. She is going to paint one side blue, and yeah, we can even shade it blue if you want to. So this side right here. She's going to paint that blue. For whatever reason, Jenny wants to know what the area of that is. Well, use the same formula. 15 times 20 divided by 2. And I'm going to do my little shortcut. I'm going to divide the 20 by 2 in my head and just do 10 times 15. And that way I can do it in my head and not have to get my calculator out. The answer there is 15 inches squared. Your homework for today is to do a homework assignment very similar to yesterday's in Schoology. And I think I've allowed you to do it 2 times rather than 3 times. Hopefully you get 100%. Yesterday I had a couple kids Zoom with me when they got stuck, and it was so nice. I feel like a teacher again when I get to Zoom with you. So if you have some questions, feel free to Zoom with me, message me, ask for help. Good luck.